Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. You are at the Product and UX Design Meetup. I'm Valerie Caña, your usual host. I'm a designer at a fintech company here in Vegas. And this is my co-host, Abegail Otero, head of design at Value Driven Careers and previously Omnicell. So we had a really great opportunity to go to an exciting event last week. And we are going to talk about that. So on today's agenda, well, we just did the introduction. We went to Config, which is Figma's annual conference where they show their latest releases for the software. They also have a lot of amazing design, developer, product management talks that are very inspiring. So we'll go over that. And then I have a fun activity, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end. And also, if you've noticed, there is a table of fun stuff up here. If you join our LinkedIn group and also the Friends of Figma Las Vegas, just let me know, and then I'll do a fun like swag lottery at the end. Oh, and the rest of our team is JB, who's sitting right here, principal designer, and John couldn't make it today, but without this team, none of our events could ever happen. So very, very grateful. All right, so Abby, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Want to tell us what Config is before I take it away?
Oh, yes. So like I was saying, Config is a conference that Figma holds annually. Usually it's to talk about all of their latest releases. They are growing into a whole ecosystem of creative tools. They're going after a lot of other competitors, and it's exciting to see because as a designer, it's great when all of your tools can integrate with one another. So it's a 2-day conference, well, 2.5 day. First day, there's Config Commons, like a great party. They have a lot of activations, booths. And then the next couple of days, there are talks from the lead designers from places like Instagram and Ramp and Anthropic, NASA even, and they all come together to this one place to talk about big ideas. And it's not even just about product and digital design, as you know. There's also talks about just design craft in general. They have artists such as Jeff, what is his last name again?
Staples.
Jeff Staples.
The fashion designer.
The fashion designer who made the pigeon shoes for Nike. So there's other fashion designers, crafters of every kind of industry and material, and they all come together because all of these lines they intersect into what we all do, which is make, right? We make this world better. All right, so first slide, we'll talk about Config Commons here. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Config Commons. I went to like the last 10 minutes of it, but I heard Abby had a really great time.
Yeah, I can take over.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it is. So far away.
Because I'm short.
Oh.
Raise of hands. Who are designers in the room? We all are? Okay. Any founders in the room? Any developers? And others. Hello. Welcome. Anybody who has been to Config before? Twice now. All right, just to get some of that context. So Config Commons is the event that they have before the actual event. So if you've never been to Config before, I would highly recommend it for all of the swag. So the reason why the person in the top right, I blurred out their face, is because I just found a random picture on the internet. But you can see we had some airbrush t-shirts, the free crew neck, some pins that we have extras for you guys to take home. And it's a really good time to meet other designers or other creatives. And I think especially as designers here in Las Vegas, we don't have the opportunity to meet other designers. So it was really cool to interact with other people who have the same interests or obsessions as you do. Yeah. Some things that I wanted to point out for Config that I thought was super awesome from a UX perspective is the Slack and config app. So the config app is just find your agenda as well as figure out how to navigate the Moscone Center. But what was really cool was the Slack community. So they had a Slack community. I wasn't part of it last year, but I was like, let me sign in and see what's going on in there. And so they had a whole bunch of different channels where if you are from a certain industry or a certain type of designer, there was a solo traveler channel. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of going alone before Gabriel shows up and Val wasn't able to join us. So I was like, I guess I'm alone. And this conference is huge where there's like 5,000 or more people. So I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make friends. And I joined that channel saying, hey, I have a plan to get my badge at this time. And then after that, I have a plan to go to the museum before the whole config commons. And guess what? There was like so many people that responded to that channel saying like, oh, where do you wanna meet? Blah, 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 blah. I almost got overwhelmed because I was like, I don't want to be in charge of meeting up with these other people. So I kind of ghosted them, like, they can figure it out themselves. So yeah, I got my badge, and then I saw the thread, and someone posted a picture of where they were, and I turned around, and I was like, oh, they're literally right there behind me, so I should probably say hi. But that was actually a really great thing for me to do, because that was a way for me to meet other people in a way that was less intimidating, because we already had introduced ourselves in the chat. So I thought that, well, maybe this is something that we can do for Tech Alley, is create some kind of Slack community where all of the different meetup groups can have their own channels, and that way other people can meet and network with each other. Just an idea.
Good one.
All right, new Figma products and updates. So, as Val mentioned, there was a lot of different products as well as new Figma features that came out during this conference. And I'm not going to go too much into details about each one, but more so I wanted to talk about kind of tools and some food for thought about the tools that we use as designers. So has anybody played around with the new features or the new products yet?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, you can help me
Yes.
talk about some of the new stuff. So first one is Figma grids. Does anybody use Figma here? How many of you actually know auto layout? Because I'm not very good at it. Okay, I took a course on it and that was helpful. But Figma grids is like auto layout on steroids. So it helps you to organize your columns and rows in a way that makes it pixel perfect. It kind of works as auto layout, but you can move things. I wish I had time to make GIFs or something to explain, but definitely check it out because it's going to be a game changer, especially if you are doing responsive design, designing from desktop to tablet to mobile. So it makes it really easy to have to do that without having to like resize your canvas or mess with your auto layout layers. You can also deep nest within auto layout or the grids. So if you have a grid and you have like, let's say a calendar component where there's a lot of different dates, you would be able to nest that component within your grid and move it around. Previously, if you just use auto layout, you would break your calendar component. So it's pretty nice.
So this is a snap grid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if I wanted to move this image over here, then it would act as auto layout to move it to the other column.
Instead of manually edging it into
Yes.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Definitely play around with it. The second one is Figma Sites. So this is actually a new product. The first one was more so just a feature update to auto layout. So Figma Sites is who uses Webflow or Framer or other. Okay. So Figma Sites is Figma's version of Webflow or Framer. So you can go from stagnant design to publishing your sites with a click of a button now. Val, have you used this one yet?
Yeah, I tried it out a bit, so it's pretty amazing. The screenshot here, obviously, we see our typical breakpoints, the desktop, tablet, mobile. And if you can copy your design from Figma and paste it in here. And then if your auto layouts are right, then you can automatically change the breakpoints and it'll relay out, change everything, change the sizes for you. So it was really great. So, and then from here, you can publish your site. You can change you can change your URL, your domain as well. So I think this is a really great example of, well, I think it's not exactly Webflow yet, right? Because Webflow has a really robust content management system, like payments infrastructure, all of those other integrated plugins. But this is really a great competitor to Framer for more light sites, portfolios, stuff like that, where people are mainly sifting through information, but rather than handling payments and like a lot of blog content. But I think it's pretty strong. Additionally, they have presets here where for a button, for example, in Figma, we have to make it into a component and add all of the different states. But here they've already made some presets where like you already assign it into a button, and then it already knows that it should have other states to it. So you can just assign it those properties.
So it's like a leaner version of us prototyping.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about creating a whole bunch of variants for your components now.
Sure.
Now sites would be able to, there's a few common things like drop downs. You can just input what you want in the drop down rather than having to create it from scratch. So that's super powerful.
So we're just streamlining both the component system and the prototyping system.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a game changer, and now we'll have no excuses for updating our portfolios.
Yeah.
I'll find a way.
Anything else on Figma sites?
No, other than I'm really happy that it's like finally out. I was actually part of the alpha, and then no one could talk about it, and then the alpha had a pause because people were leaking it like 2 weeks before the conference, and then they stopped it.
Meaning you could have leaked it already.
I could have leaked it as well,
But I didn't.
You know, I didn't.
That's so cool though.
Okay. Next one is even more cool, I think. So Figma Make is similar to, it's basically Figma's LLM, so similar to Claude or ChatGPT. But what's cool about Figma Make is, so when you're using other external models, you're essentially taking a screenshot of your wireframes and then trying to get it to rebuild that screenshot, right? But because it's a screenshot, it doesn't know the hex codes that you're using. It doesn't know the typography, your font styling, or any additional treatment that you make to your typography. But when you use Figma Make, you can copy paste from Figma Design. So take that frame and then put it into Make. And then it will take all of that metadata from Figma in order to produce something that is actually usable. So that's super powerful because now you can use your design system and use it essentially to prototype different kinds of features that you want to concept with maybe your developers. So for example, in this data module, maybe you, let's pretend that there was a transaction. I know that it's not up on the screen, but let's pretend that there was a transaction data table and you're trying to see what happens if you want to filter by a certain column, right? Prior, you would have to design, you know, the default state of that table, and then you would have to design another view of that table. Now what you can do with Figma Make is take that frame, drop it into the chat, and tell the chat to, hey, make this data table work so that it filters by A through Z instead of numerical or whatever. And now Figma would be able to do that for you, and you would be able to preview that, I think, with the code. So it's super powerful. You don't have to, you know, play around with prototyping anymore because the AI will do that for you. I haven't tested it out, but watching the demos of it seems super powerful. So definitely check that feature out. Anything to add?
Yeah, I was mainly impressed with animations. So, right, in Figma, animations, it's like you're basically building it with components and then like you're playing with the time. It's always very difficult to export that unless you're using like Anima or Lottie or something like that. So I think now what I'm experiencing in my workplace is that takes a lot of time and time that we don't really have. So that's why I think it's better to use AI as a prototype assistant, so you don't have to so you're not doing all of these final details, making these interactions, when you can just ask the AI to do it for you.
Right.
So like in Figma's demo, they had that record label.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, there was an image of a record table, and you could just ask it like, I want the record to spin when the user selects a song.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? So doing that in Figma, it's like, you have to make like several records, like turn it around, all of that.
Yeah.
But then in Make, you can just ask it to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I love it.
So
Yeah.
AI-powered creator.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, what about like, for instance, like user flows, like you're continuing building on a product, like does it help with things like that? Just, the continuity of the product and like, okay, well, I need to build this new feature.
Yeah.
Is it as advanced as that?
I think so. I think you would still need an engineer to stitch it together. Meaning like if you have are you saying like there's multiple pages in a website, for example, or like multiple screens. So I don't think it's like there to like, oh, please add a screen, make sure this next button like links to here. Like maybe it can do it, but I would still have an engineer like quality check that, right?
Because it's live code that it's bringing in. So well, what if it's like just the image or something like that? Would it be able to make that live code? Like
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Has it? I haven't played around with it, so I'm not too sure. I would think that eventually it would learn what your different flow or different screens are, so that you can say, hey, this is the flow for this. Can you help me iterate on this new feature? I would definitely say it's more so for proof of concept or for having conversations with your devs to show them what your thought is, as opposed to like using this for, putting into your code library. Yeah.
But it is leveraging Claude, so is it just referencing the library of your pre-existing project then?
Yeah, so it's taking data from your design system, your components. It's able to read all of that metadata in Figma to make things a lot more pixel perfect.
Brilliant. Yeah, because Claude alone is not going to be able to reference that without...
Especially if it's a screenshot.
Got it. Okay, cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I don't have to subscribe to Claude anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal for Figma, is to, swallow everything up.
There you go.
All right, the next product they came out with is called Figma Buzz. So is anybody in here familiar with Adobe InDesign? What about Canva? Any Canva users?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Express.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah, Adobe Express. So that's what Figma Buzz is trying to do here. It's a little bit of Canva where you can choose templates and create your social media campaigns or any assets, and with the effort of making it simple to collaborate with your marketers or your copy team. So a lot of designers have been asking like, hey, I have, a lot of assets that I'm creating, but when I, hand it off to my copywriter or marketer, they don't know how to use the file. So what you can do with Figma Buzz is lock the design aspects of it, so they can't move the logo, but they will have access to changing the titles or the body copy and things like that. You can also, so the reason why I mentioned InDesign, there is a feature in InDesign where you can take a CSV file and export a lot of your data to create new assets. So you'll also be able to do that with Figma Buzz. So if you have, let's say, I don't know, what I used to do is create wayfinding materials. So like directionals where like, parking lot here, right? And you need a lot of signage. You would be able to recreate those assets really quickly by importing that CSV file into your Figma Buzz.
Would you be able to batch export stuff
Yeah.
then? Okay.
I have tried playing around with it to demo, but I think because it's new, it doesn't have a huge library that you can choose from when designing things. So either you have to have existing brand assets, or you're limited to what their library is. Plus, I'm already comfortable with all of the features in Canva, so I'm like more of a super user in that. But I'm excited to see where Figma Buzz can go, because again, consolidating subscriptions would be like super helpful. Yeah, not too much about Figma buzz, but what I did want to share with you guys. Oh, there's one more. Just kidding. Figma Draw. So Figma Draw is adjacent to Adobe Illustrator. Not too much to say about that other than they have like different kinds of brush sizes and things like that. I didn't really watch too much of that part of the presentation. So there's not much else to say other than you can draw in Figma now a lot more easily.
Yeah, not in FigJam either. Like this is the Figma design file. And as you can see, there's all these like different brush strokes and stuff. And then I also know that Figma updated anchor points. And before, like, it was just so awful.
Yeah,
and
really janky.
now I think it's a little better. So it's getting closer to Illustrator.
Yeah, on your curves. Like I have a logo and I'm not able to pinpoint the middle of the vector. So it's a little off by like half a pixel, but I notice it. So hopefully Adobe is getting better with like what do you call those curves? Bezier?
Oh, the Bezier curves.
Thank you, I can never see that.
Anchors, handles.
There used to be a remove background in the AI,
Yeah.
and then they took it out.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what did we do?
Right.
It wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, they also used to
Good
have.
job for me at one time. That was a good tool.
I know, that's what made me excited about Figma Draw and other things like that, because you would be able to do things in app as opposed to like, oh, let me create something in Illustrator and then turn it into an SVG and then bring it back in, or let me do like some background removals in, my browser and then bring it in. You should be able to do everything in here. So we'll see how much it advances. All right. The takeaway that I wanted to leave you guys with is tools come and go. There's nothing new under the sun. So as we mentioned before, 10 years ago, we were using Adobe, I forget, CS something, right? CS 4 or 5, right? We used to have to get the physical machines and download it onto our computers. 10 years ago, we didn't have Figma. And 10 years from now, who knows what kind of software we're going to have. So for those of you who are new designers or looking into design or new to the industry, my biggest advice would be don't get too hung up on the tools that you use, because it's just a means to an end. It's just a means of articulating your creativity. So now more than ever, we as designers need to have a strong foundation in art theory and design principles. I think that's something that I took away from coming to Figma was, man, I gotta get back to the basics. Whether it's art theory or design principles, typography and layout, I think that's gonna be really important for us to advance, because now the tools, we're just going to tell it what we need it to do. But how are we going to be able to express what those ideas are, and how are we going to be able to validate why we prompted the AI to do the thing in the first place? So having that ability to back up your ideas is going to be really important. So what makes the solution we're prompting the right solution, rather than like, how do I do this thing in Figma? So how many of you guys been to art school or design school? How many of you have taken art history classes? Does anybody know or remember the name of this painting? Yes, it's also known as Birth of Venus. So the reason why I bring up this pixelated version of it was the Birth of Venus was very revolutionary for its time. So how we consider AI as revolutionary, we're thinking about like, oh, what's next? Some people are fascinated by it. Some people are really scared of it. That's kind of like how Botticelli was during his time, because back in the day, art was for the sake of religion and promoting religion. So those who are higher up or like in the hierarchy can, describe things of God and things like that. And what Botticelli did was, I'm just going to make something for the sake of making something. And I think nudity was a really big topic back then. So nudity was associated with shame and things like that. So Adam and Eve. And he was like, no, I don't want it to be shameful. I want to show it in a way that, I don't know, inspires awe rather than shame. Things like that. I'm going down a rabbit hole here.
Just to add a line, like,
sure.
For a lot of these like old Renaissance artists, they believe that the human body is the most perfect thing in nature. So that's why there was a lot of nudity, right? Like in all of the sculptures, paintings, because they were very interested in the anatomy of like the human body. That was when they were started like cutting things up and like really, seeing things and doing medical illustrations.
Da Vinci's Vitruvian.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for adding in that. And also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in pop culture, you'll see Birth of Venus referenced over and over again. So Beyonce has a lot of those motifs in her artwork and album art and things like that. Lady Gaga, lots of that. I went into a rabbit hole because of Config. There was a lot of artists who talked about art history. That's not the reason why I bring this artwork up today, but I just thought it would be really cool to tie back in of like art history. So if you want to scan this QR code, it's going to lead you to a link about how the birth of Venus is related to pop culture. But the reason why I wanted to bring up this is because as we're using ChatGPT and we're needing to prompt, I think it'd be really valuable to have a skill to be able to write like an art historian. So what do I mean by that? Anyone want to scan this before I go to the next slide? You don't have to, but before I move on. And Val, do you have a plug? Just want to make sure that this doesn't die on us.
Behind you. Hold on.
All right, I'm going to go to the next slide.
Okay.
So, in true fashion, I ChatGPT'd how to describe the birth of Venus as an art historian to a blind person. And this is what it came up with. And I know it's small, so I'll just read it. So imagine a grand canvas nearly 6 feet tall and over 9 feet wide, a window into a mythical world poised in stillness and grace. At the center stands Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty. She just birthed from the sea. She stands nude atop a giant scallop shell, which gently floats on the rippling surface of the ocean, etc., etc., etc. So lots of details. And I think what's great about art history is like how they can, tell you where the figure is positioned in the frame, or like how it talks about her hand position. One hand covers her breast, the other her lower body, not with shame, but with modesty. Her long hair, flowing golden hair, just cascades down in soft waves, covering and revealing all at once. It's windswept, animated, etc., etc. So just imagine if you didn't know what that picture looked like, if you were able to close your eyes and hear what the prompt was, or the AI wrote out, you could probably imagine what it was describing in such detail. So I think that ability to describe something in such detail is going to help us as designers in the future when we are trying to tell it to make something, especially if we don't have a reference photo or something that we want to tell the AI to make for us. So I have an activity. Give it a try. If you have ChatGPT on your phone, imagine using a text description to recreate this image and see what it comes out with. You probably might not have service, or maybe you don't have ChatGPT on your phone, but this might be an activity that you want to try on your own at home, just to see how your ability to describe composition is. And you'll see the gaps of like, man, I don't even know where to start. Maybe if I were to start, I would say, okay, on the canvas is a grayish blue background with a black plate in the top left, followed by a whole lemon, whatever you think. But I think it's just a really good thought exercise to practice your ability to describe what you see. It's really easy to see something, but when you're actually trying to describe it, that's harder. So I think that this exercise helps us when we are, prompting ChatGPT. I think a lot of us can use, myself included, better English skills. How am I on time?
151. Good.
All right. The other thing that I wanted to share was that now more than ever, we should be drawing inspiration from the vibrant physical and tangible world around us, rather than just getting stuck on our screens. So to picture, continue with the art metaphors, the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. What happens when you mix all of those colors together?
Brown.
Yes, you get a mucky, yucky color of brown. And I think that's a good analogy of what I think would happen if we continue to just use ChatGPT to continue to make things for us, because it's going to be designing an echo chamber, It's only going to get ideas from what already exists. So rather than just getting inspiration from Dribbble or online, why not go outside and, get inspiration from nature? I think using physical mediums like clay or paint is really going to be helpful for us designers. And I'm really looking forward to getting away from the computer and, taking my time back because of AI so that I can be in nature and kind of get my inspiration from there. So I would also encourage you guys to get out there and find new hobbies.
And touch grass.
Yeah.
Touch grass.
So yeah, I think I have a few more slides. And I will speed things up a bit.
That is so
That's so cool, though.
So now we're going to get into a little bit of the talks. I'm just going to share briefly the 3 talks that I was interested in on day 1. Highly recommend that if you haven't been to Config or haven't watched online, they're all available on YouTube. And some of the talks I'm sharing today, I will have QR codes if you want to give them a listen. But the first one was one about AI, and it's the head of product at Anthropic, so the person who created Claude, I think,
Yep.
or at least was on that product. And essentially, he talked about AI as a metaphor for being a creative partner. So I really liked that he said metaphors matter, and he was really great at storytelling. And one of the stories that he told us was about when the iPhone first came out. It was, really new. Like, we didn't know what the heck applications were, right? So we had to have metaphors for things that existed in the real world, so we were comfortable with using it. So you have, the notepad, or do you remember the newsstand where, like, in order to pick ebooks and magazines, or even the microphone, I thought that was really great. To bridge the gap of like our understanding of the real world versus the way that technology is going. So then he brings us to the metaphors for AI. And I'm sure you guys heard AI as your assistant or GitHub Copilot, or, in 2025, AI is agentic or an agent. And what, I forget the guy's name, told us as designers is more than just a Copilot or an agent. AI should be a creative partner with us. So what does that mean? I liked that he, brought up Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak as, they're really good partners. And I forget the others that he mentioned, but as a creative partner, we shouldn't just be telling the AI what to do, but it should also be a partnership. So it should know you, your personal style. So as you get to know it, it's going to understand like your outputs. Would you prefer flat designs versus those that have more gradients, or 3D things? It should also create with you as a collaborator, so give you ideas. And I think that's the beauty of the relationship with AI, is that you're not just telling it what to do, but it spits out ideas that are a little bit ambiguous so that you can kind of riff after it. So I was like, yeah, I shouldn't just tell it what I want it to do, but I should be open to its feedback and like, take some of its ideas too. So I like how ChatGPT will ask, do you want me to do this, this, or this? I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know, maybe I'm just pro.
I want to emphasize there, but if you use AI like a singular tool enough, it starts to develop a personality that responds to you. So even the formatting is very unique to how you interface with it. Because like Abby can have like one interaction and it could be wildly different in person. I like how it responds to me. And I find that very powerful, especially with ChatGPT, because let's say I'm doing like a lot of creative role-playing stuff, it'll give me that huge piece of material that you won't get if you're generally looking at like designer or like programming stuff or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I also want to add, like I think I trained my my ChatGPT model like to be an amazing hype woman.
Yes.
Because she consistently calls me queen.
Yes.
Yes. And then she really sees my hippie nature. It's like I tell her a problem. She's like, would you like a mantra, affirmation, and letters? But it's actually, yeah, it's like very moving.
Yes.
Actually.
And they don't tell you about that as a feature. You
Right.
kind of discover it as you're using it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, I say, be nice to me. Can you be kind and encourage me?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's very thoughtful of you, Abigail. Yes. You know me so well.
That's so awesome.
Any other thoughts on AI as a creative partner?
Yeah, I was also very moved by this talk because, or just to add to what we were saying, like assistant is somebody who, they're there to assist you. They're there in the background, fade in the background, and like nothing else. And then when you get into an agent, it's like, I think the connotation of that is this is a person that has some sort of autonomy. They're going to go like another step. And then creative partner is exactly what we're talking about. It's an assistant and agent, and they're not only do they have a wealth of information, they know you as a person, like all of your quirks. They know your user manual.
Yeah.
Like how to work with you and how to speak with you, and they're going to do more. So it's very yes and also this. And I was very inspired just with all of the dynamic duos he was talking about, because the riffing is so important in the creative process. Mm-hmm. And we always talk about this. Of course, there are things we can do alone, and I think that's something we should be prideful of. But when we're collaborating with at least one other person or another being or AI, your ideas become more powerful. And going back to what you're saying, that everything has already been made under the sun. Every product has already existed in some sort of fashion and in some corner of the world. But the combining of new ideas in this specific time, in this context, is what will make that product powerful. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
We drank the Kool-Aid.
You did drink the Kool-Aid, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm totally on board.
Yeah. All right. So for those of you who may not be designers, this was a really fun talk. So this guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it was just a really like eye candy on how to present. Highly recommend watching this one. I can't even describe it to give it justice, but it was very meta. It talked about like how you talk about your problem, a solution, and benefit, like how to pitch your idea, how to present. And I was like super captivated by it because his storytelling was excellent. But also, I think as a designer, he had a lot of great animations, and yeah, it was just wild. You just have to watch it. And then the last one, yeah.
So I don't know if any of you have seen the TED Talk. I forget the exact title, but it's a TED Talk about how to give talks.
Yeah, how to pitch ideas or something.
How to pitch ideas,
yeah, so it was inspired by that TED Talk, but then he animated it and made it super lively. So definitely watch that one when you have time, because it's great at like how to tell stories. Yeah. I should have made sure that the links didn't play.
Autoplay.
Yeah, that was my bad. All right. One more. Got it? Okay. Last slide for me. If you are a Severance fan, the production designer was also at Config, and he basically talked about his design process of creating worlds for Severance.
Did you watch it yet?
I did a few episodes, and then I was like, dang, this is dark. Like, this is beautiful, but also dark. So, and it's also very like over my head, very cerebral.
When I saw that you didn't watch, I was like, what?
I was like, all right, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
In 7 days of my free subscription. Yeah, here's just some quick shots from his talk about like set design and the different robotic cameras that they use to get the shots. Yeah, it was really interesting. So check out that talk. And I think that's it for me. So hope you enjoyed my part.
That was amazing. Very much enjoyed. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah.
Before I talk about day 2, I wanted to add on to, you talking about like art history and like design and topography. But I've just been saying this, that as a product designer, like I really miss picking fonts.
Yes.
I miss like all of the design craftsmanship and like, just like visual design. And so going to those talks, there are other additional ones we went to, was like very inspiring, because we even went to like Annie Atkins' talk, and she makes props for movies like Wes Anderson. So there's like all of that faux graphic design that is needed for shows like Severance, or for all of the Wes Anderson movies. And it's just cool to remember my roots as a designer.
It definitely felt like you're going back to college and taking courses on, typography or layout or art history. So highly recommend watching some of those talks on YouTube.
Exactly. All right, so moving to day 2, this is a picture that I took from one of the bridges at Moscone, and just wanted to point out that it was a beautiful day, plenty of people. There's a stage to the right there where people could, I think they could watch some of the keynotes when they were playing from the outside, and then otherwise it was a DJ the rest of the time. And I want to emphasize the importance of people coming together for the love of their craft.
Yes.
Because otherwise I would just be at home alone, designing random things in an echo chamber. So part of the day 2's keynote was from Corden Singer and Hudson Peralta. Ryan, actually, I got to meet him last year when I injured my ankle, and then I sat in the accessibility area, and then that's where I met him. And he's a super incredible guy, and he's a senior designer at Rocket Mortgage. And Corden, he has a master's in like computer science and human-computer interaction from Berkeley. So he was talking about human-computer interaction from the beginning history. So we could see here, like in 1963, they were using pens, and then they started to create the mouse as well. And then you could see like it's very blocky. There was also the invention of the keyboard that was used for typewriters and then like made digital. And so his idea was to reinvent these things because primarily I think we all use mice, right? We all use mice or styluses for our tablets, and that really creates a specific way of interacting with our technology that may not be, or is not accessible to other people. So Ryan actually, you see a picture of him at the bottom. He was born with no limbs at all. He had no arms, no legs whatsoever. And he was talking about how he still designs, he just like uses his shoulders. But over his time doing that, and he's getting older, the sockets of his shoulders are getting much more damaged. So he is a great supporter of Corden's work. The picture on the left here is a mouth pad, and I'll explain what that is. But like I was saying before, we're mainly interacting with our technology with our hands, and so through his research, he learned that the tongue is kind of like the 11th finger. It has a lot of like motor capabilities, a lot of muscle. Our fingers have, has these nuances to them where, we can be like hold things extremely delicately. We have a lot of precision with them, and no other part of the body really has that ability, but the tongue does. So him and his partner created the mouth pad, and so they had to learn a lot about orthodontics, dental things. They learned kind of like if you ever got Invisalign or anything like that, you would get the molds like into your mouth, or then they started scanning mouths to get that biometric blueprint so they can create the plastic version. And then the mouth pad itself is it's its own like little computer that reacts to touch. In the bottom right screen, you could see those yellow dots here. That's actually the tracker that maps to the mouth pad. So if you put that mouth pad, it goes up into your upper, what is
the roof of your mouth?
The roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
You put that in, and then you can configure it. You can see like how your tongue will react to it, and then it can tell what you're doing. So it's essentially a trackpad in your mouth. And I thought this was extremely like incredible, because like what Ryan said, when you start designing for people with disabilities, it's great design for everybody. I was able to talk with him, with Ryan after the talk at lunch, and I was just saying like, this is great for people with temporary disabilities. I think a lot of designers have carpal tunnel, and then I did too actually in college, and I couldn't type and I couldn't like move a mouse for several weeks because it was during my finals, and I was just like, I don't know, burning out at that time, and I was really worried like, if this is permanent, what am I going to do? My ways of making it's closed for me. But it's great to see that there are people making these amazing inventions. And they made it in a basement at Berkeley or something like that, like really right next to the boiler. And then they've been like increasingly getting more funding and support. But there are people who are out there making these incredible products. And so they also had a demo of Ryan. I think it was a video at that time, just because it's Bluetooth and it didn't work at that specific moment. But he was able to go into the Figma board there, and he was demoing how he was able to drag and drop everything. So it was very, very insightful. This is like really cool because like I think I've mentioned before, I'm really interested in game design, and people have been playing with different kinds of controllers as well. People make controllers out of couches, pillows, or you see like all of the different kinds of like Switch controllers now, the Pokeball, or like the Zelda sword. All of those things are computers, and I just want to remind everybody, like we don't only have to make GUI, graphic user interfaces. There are so many other kinds of interfaces that we could be designing for. And then continuing on the talk about accessibility, I was able to go to the maker stage, which is kind of in the booth area. And Tal, she works at Evinced, and she's a product manager there, and she was talking about more about accessible design. And I wanted to point out this slide where it says the mountain to climb. And so when we make products, we're always asking ourselves like, okay, does it work? And it does, and that's the MVP. And then we have more time to push it to, does it work well? Will it spark joy in our users? And most designers only do that for able people, because for people with disabilities, they may be taken out of that conversation, but they also deserve the same kind of consideration to make their products work really well. And so, of course, she was pitching the tool events, and I think it's really great. It's essentially a Figma plugin that does more than just check the like typography, your font sizes and color contrast. It tracks all of the alt text that you can add to each element, all this other metadata. It makes sure that you have all the different states for buttons to make a button accessible. Because again, it's more than just the font, the size and stuff like that. There's a lot of other things to it, like the focus state, alt text, can it be read on a screen reader, stuff like that. And something she mentioned was usually when people use screen readers, they have to like press tab or next, and then in order just to get to the one button, let's say I just wanted to like, touch that button there, we could just easily move our mouse and touch it. But for someone who's using a screen reader, they may have to press tab literally 25 times. Hear the button alt text, like the different ones 25 times until they get to the action that they want to do. But with events, they're able to work around that and make things easier and more accessible for these people using different kinds of devices. So that was very, very powerful for me, and I really want to look more into that. All right, so next section is more fun stuff, which are activations. At Config, there's like plenty of places outside of the talks that you can go and mingle and do some arts and crafts. Here they have the risograph posters, and you're able to take one, like take it to a table, and you're able to like stamp on it with like different kinds of ink, and that was super cute. I actually have one of the posters up here if somebody wants to take that. And there was also the Fig Jam area where people are invited to use stickers, markers, craft and write things to their heart's delight, and also take a Polaroid sponsored by Polaroid. Yeah. So Abby and I took ours. I don't have it on here. I didn't look that good in it, but but it's there.
I don't have any pictures of myself.
Yeah. And then, as you can see, they also had like artists sponsor, or they've sponsored some artists to create some like cool swag. And like I happen to be wearing one of the shirts right now. So cool, fun stuff like that. The right picture is the Figma store that me and Abby spent a lot of money at, for the gear we're wearing right now. But I wanted to include that because it is, sure, it is like expensive, but based off of Jeff Staples' talk, because he represents streetwear, again, the pigeon sneakers from Nike, but he was talking about being a flag bearer for your culture, for whatever you're doing. People who wear, what is it called? The one with the little
Supreme.
red? Supreme, right? Like when you're wearing like certain brands or like have certain characters on you, that's a way to talk to other people in a more, like when I see a stranger but I see them wearing something I'm familiar with, I'm more likely to go talk to them. So it's just, you're able to find your community a little bit easier. So that's the only reason I bring it up. Plus this like little heart auto is pretty cute, so. Additionally, they had the expert bar. It's kind of like the Apple bar. So, Abby, I think you were able to talk to them, or we were like on our way to talk to them.
So I've talked to them, and at the expert bar, you can dive deep into specific questions that you might have. There's some different experts who were developers who can kind of coach you through dev mode, or I had specific questions about how to use Figma slides as well as Figma Buzz. Like I talked to the product manager about Figma Buzz and the direction that they want to go. And I think it's cool because they want to invite their users into the process. So I don't know if they'll contact me, but they're like, oh, we like your specific use case as a marketer or as a designer who is a founder and trying to start your own business from a design perspective. How can we help not just the enterprises, but also like the solo designers who are trying to make things happen. So I think it's really cool to be able to talk to the people who are boots on the ground, making the products for their users.
Yeah. And I think there's like Figma doesn't necessarily have like a 24/7 expert bar, but I think they have like customer service, I think. But I hope they, I don't know, do more with this. It's easier than watching a video sometimes. Okay, so next we have booths. Again, there's Figma, but you know, I'm sure like you all have been to like a conference before where there's like an area of additional booths sponsoring people. You know, we've got like more swag from them. But I just wanted to show you all of the people who were there. So here's like a full list if you're interested in that. But I spent a lot of time here, and arguably this is where I got my most value because I networked directly with those people. Was able to connect with them on LinkedIn and ask direct questions about the products that they have. I noticed categories. So there's a lot of design to code builders like Builder.io, Locofy, let me see.
Div Riots, Bolt.
Yeah, Div Riots, Bolt. Yeah. So they're all like Lovable, Bolt, Claude, where you're able to use AI, like put in your design and make it into like a coded prototype. I did ask all of them, but Builder.io was the only one that said that they can use your existing components and design system to make the designs. So just an FYI, everyone else said that everyone's at 50 people have asked the same thing. We're probably going to put it on our roadmap. But I just wanted to give you that pointer.
And do you know if they're able to use the animations within Figma as well? Did you?
Oh, you mean if they're to integrate with Figma's?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no plans for that yet. They're still competitors. Other ones, Div Riots makes some interesting plugins. GitHub, I think we know what those are. And the other ones here, like user testing, great questions. Those are user research tools where you can test your prototype, or find find participants to test and QA your work. The other ones were either Anima Jitter. Those are to incorporate more motion into your designs. And then I think the Grammarly Coda one was for, this was Grammarly Coda and Ditto were the two companies that help designers or help content designers come into the design system picture. Because currently, we make a lot of components, but there's no great way of keeping track of the content that you can use that's approved from your company. But those two tools, I think, provide a way of doing that.
Oh, can I speak to Ditto?
Yeah.
So I had a talk with Ditto, and prior to starting this coaching business with my husband, I was working in the health tech space. And so for us, it was very heavy with names of drugs and things like that. And especially for the legal aspect, you really have to be careful about what your buttons say, consistency, or your helper text that you have in your info buttons. Got to be really specific with that. And as a designer, it was really hard for me to go into the copy and make sure that everything was translated correctly and in the way that our info dev team wanted it. So I think Ditto was a really powerful tool to be able to essentially have a document where you had all of your internal, I guess, what would you call, playbook of how to write copy. So I think that Ditto was a really powerful tool because you would be able to see all of the instances, kind of like components and variables, where you would be able to swap out your copy, and your info dev or your copywriters can go in there and be able to change things without having to know Figma. So it was a really powerful plugin.
Awesome, thank you.
Did you talk to Dscout?
I did briefly, but I'm kind of forgetting.
Yeah,
I'm kind of forgetting who they are or what they do. Actually, I think they're another builder.
No, they're a competitor user testing.
Oh.
So Dscout, if anyone goes into user research, If you're looking for quality candidates for user testing, D-Scout, from my experience, has been the best. It's just that they're expensive. But you are getting the quality for the price you pay. So if you start off for user research, user testing is fine, but if you're like wanting to get like really good research, D-Scout's the better company for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, thank you. All right, so outside hours are opportunities for community events. And there was actually events from May 5th to the 10th, like outside of the conference days. But there are things like runs at 6 a.m., boba meetups, art workshops, after parties. I went to the Amazon Mixer. There's like supper clubs, or like we can climb with people, do hackathons. And so this is, I personally, at the conference, it is like a little hard to network with the other conference attendees. I think it's just because the way the talks line up, there's not easy opportunities to talk to people unless you're at the booth area. But over here, this is when people are ready to talk about their day, everything that they've learned. And it also reminds me that it's important to be part of a community. If you have other interests, like always bring that up. Last year, I don't think I ever saw like boba meetups, but like that's, I didn't think to make that into an interest group. And so designers are coming from so many different kinds of places and verticals and other kinds of fun hobbies and skill sets that, it's easier to network here, right? Like, and become friends with people rather than it's just a different way, rather than going specifically to industry events, if that makes sense. Because how you meet people is also important in how you grow your network and what we can do for each other. Okay, so I think that's actually my last slide. We only have a few minutes. I wanted to do an activity, and I also wanted to give out swag. So really, let me pulse check with Abby really quick. Which one do you think we should do first with like our 7 minutes?
I think it would be great to have people join our community through Friends of Figma.
Okay.
So as we are kind of advertising for going to Config, it's because Val is our leader for Friends of Figma. So it's a specific, I guess, advocacy group for being part of Figma. And we've started a chapter for here in Las Vegas. And what that means is we get sponsorships from Figma. So that's why we were able to go to the conference. And we want to extend that to you guys. So we also need help organizing and making the UX meetup group a lot more vibrant. I know that we meet here every third Saturday, but sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes we want to go a little bit deeper, and we definitely want your help. So we would like to give you guys some swag with some gatekeeping of joining our Friends of Figma community as well as our LinkedIn group. And if you're interested in hosting one of these talks, it's not just Val and I up here. It's open floor to anyone who wants to speak and give a talk on, whatever you're interested in the design space. So we definitely want to open the floor to other members and help us grow this community outside of just here in Tech Alley. We want to have more events, whether it's virtual and doing design workshops or just casual hangout events. We just had one at Swingers Mini Golf at Mandalay maybe a month ago. So we want to have more of those events to bring in more of our design community.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Let me skip over to the last slide. This is the QR code to our LinkedIn if you're not part of it. And sorry, no QR code for Friends of Figma Vegas, but if you Google it, you'll be able to find it right away. And also, like, with the stronger our community gets, like the more benefits, like, let me just be transparent. Yeah, like the more benefits we may get later on, like more sponsorships and swag things, and also more interest from guest speakers wanting to come and speak to us for free. So really highly encouraged. Thank you. Yes.
Have you thought about going back to Figma and find out all the subscribers, all the businesses that subscribe to Figma here in the Vegas area so you can build your organization?
That would be great.
Great.
Yeah, I
Thank
saw
you.
someone, what's funny is like, talking about wearing your swag and that being a conversation starter. On my way back to Vegas, I saw someone wearing the same sweater. I was like, oh, did you go to the conference? And he's like, yeah. I was like, are you from Vegas? He's like, yeah. And I was like, if you're a designer, why are you not coming to Tech Alley? So yeah, there's a lot of connections out there that I'm sure aren't aware. So we're trying to spread that awareness through LinkedIn.
That's where you go back to Figma
Yeah.
as your basic resource and say, okay, fine, give us a list of all the subscribers out there. Give me an email so
Right.
we can grow the club. And they should be doing that geographically all over the U.S.
Is
Absolutely.
there a liability in that though?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. We do
Okay.
it with Adobe.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
Adobe does skip some problems and liabilities, so that's Adobe's problematic.
I'll definitely, dig around to see who can help me with that. But thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, cool. So swag time, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to, well, there's like a lot of things. How many people do we have? I think we just have like enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Or I could do it like the lotto style.
I haven't thought about this far. So if you want the higher price items we have to work for it, then I would say, yeah, what's your question?
Actually, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT to become a random number generator, and I'll assign 1, 2, Gail, you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Yeah, let the computer do it.
Yeah.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, no pressure.
Okay, be a random number generator from 1 to 9 and go. Okay, and then for the first one will
Yeah,
I'll offer a pin and sticker.
Sorry, I have a suggestion.
Yes, please suggest.
I think maybe you could just read off the order, and then from that order is how they can approach the table.
You're right.
Would
Okay,
that be
number
easier?
7. Oh, that's actually, I think you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's free swag from the conference if you're interested.
Oh,
Yeah. 7.
Well, I'm going to drag my creative designer here.
Okay, the next person is 3. Gail.
Woo! You just won a new car.
I wish one day when I make it, I will be giving out like free iPads for everybody.
Right. Free config tickets for next year.
Right?
That'd be awesome.
Number 9. Oh,
You can pick whatever you would like
you'd
on the table.
Yeah. Oh, the socks. They're very comfy.
I'm definitely taking this.
Oh yes.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, it's a
Yes,
small.
it's a small,
Yeah, no.
but they're kind of, yeah. Like I find like they're kind of bigger. 2. Woo! Yay! Okay. Next is 5.
Yay.
Yay. Next is 1. Awesome. Yeah, plenty of things. Hats. This is the poster I was talking about. Yes. 6.
If you want a pin or sticker, feel free to grab like 2 or 3.
Yeah. And then whatever's left, like people could you could just take it. Yeah. And then, hey, how's it going? 4. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can take any of these, except this is actually mine. This is my purse.
Yeah, that one. It just takes off the auto plushie.
Right?
Or you just take the hard bite.
Yeah.
Next is 8.
Yeah. About to take that back. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Yeah. I wish I had extra things. Yeah, those are the config pins. Next is 7. Did I say 7 already?
Maybe.
Oh, I did. That was the first one.
UXR hire.
UXR.
User research.
Yeah.
This thing's the representative for user research.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's a red fox.
Yeah. Did everyone get to go, or did no one go yet? Okay, cool. Well, everything else is like up for
Free
grabs
game.
if you want to come.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you so
Made
much.
my day.
It looks great on you.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's made for me.
It's in your color analysis, I think.
And I guess, does that conclude our session?
And also that concludes our session. If you all don't mind, can I take a picture?
Yes, let's do it. We need proof for our...
Yeah, we need proof for our LinkedIn. Thank you.